special act to do something.
Well, an example of that is looking at two big numbers, two lots on Burroughs Road, they must be adjacent lots.
They could-
Right. Total of over 300,000 square feet,
Yep, maybe
probably underwater, right?
Burroughs Road, what page are you on?
First page.
Oh, yeah.
144, 145.
Right, and there was no interest for the housing partnership, so.
For conservation.
That's no houseboat, maybe.
No, it's conservation.
I know, conservation, right.
Yeah, I think that idea is maybe fruitful. Have both housing partnership and conservation to go through each one and tell us why they have an
Well,
interest.
I think it would be
Because-
best if, first of all, if they could get together themselves and take a look at it. So the housing partnership will have a clear understanding from the conservation standpoint why they may not be able to do anything with it. So let them work it out and then modify the request list of
Because
interests.
I think you'll see
I think you see
many
some
of
them
these
shift.
uses go to no interest on either side.
Right.
And then you can divide the list like Bob had suggested.
You also have the LUC involved and interested in quite a few.
We also have a lot of,
Let's concentrate on, if you just took, I think, Steve and Sean are right, if you just took these two, then, it made some progress into sorting this land into.
and then what we could do is, if we use conservation as the go-to point, because then you have LUC talk to conservation. And then LUC, many times, their interest is the same as conservation's, or they could dovetail each other by having, whether it be open space for park and recreation, can still be part of conservation. So maybe they can dovetail their interests, and again, narrow it down a little bit further. And then we can do the transfers of what we think is appropriate to conservation and which one we want to keep. I think a lot of the work can and should be done at the committee and commission level before it comes here. We shouldn't necessarily have to play referee. Just ask them to get together and sort it out for us.
Yeah, I would suggest we go with that plan. Give them a deadline, because I would like to see this move forward. So we get to a point where we change the policy and then move forward with,
In the meantime, I think we should be addressing changing our policy too.
well, definitely. Oh,
So you wanna take on and change the policy?
Sure, I'll make a motion tonight if you'd like. It takes a minute. But, just as a suggestion.
You have one in mind that you wanna
Just as a
toss around?
suggestion, if you look at D, where it says the minimum sale price, this is under the foreclosed property, tax foreclosure property. Right now, it says the minimum sale price of tax foreclosure property shall be its current assessed value. That's where we run into problems. And what we've done is we've kind of carried that forward for any other type of property we've acquired too. See, to me, if you wanna say, the minimum target, or the target minimum price is that, and then just add a sentence, the board may sell property for less than the assessed value if the majority deems it appropriate or in the town's best interest. And then it just gives the board the latitude to do it. Accept a bid that may come in at less than assessed value, we determine that it's in a butter. And the other thing we need to address, again, it's on a case-by-case basis, but what we've been doing for years now is placing what I consider to be some unruly, necessary restrictions on some of the property that we're selling. Abutting parcels, we're saying you can't put any structure on it. You can't put a shed, you can't put a garage, you can't put...
So
Why would you do that?
Right.
Why would you do that? But we've been doing it rather consistently. Then why would you buy it? Right.
That's not listed here in this policy.
No, it's just been a matter of...
Restrictions that-
It's just been a matter of practice that we've incorporated over the years, and we have the motions, if you recall, well, you haven't been sitting in, I don't know if you've seen any yet. We have motions to sell property. We have a menu approach. That has a menu of restrictions to be placed on this particular parcel, and we just gotta check off, restriction A, C, D, F, and G,
We should be making it more advantageous for someone to come in and willing to purchase a property like that and get it back on the tax roll.
And to me,
More restrictive.
I'm willing to give some of this stuff to an abutter and allow them to, with the caveat that they incorporate as part of their parcel, and they get tagged for it and the assessed value on the property. Everybody knows the property value, the land value is what drives a lot of the assessed valuation of a lot of the homes.
Could
Could I make a suggestion that for the next meeting, that Steve, you come up with a new policy wording and we get a copy of the actual restrictions we put on?
Well, again, the restrictions that we put on, yeah, we do have a copy to look at
Well,
anyway.
that, but let's do it all at once,
Well,
you know?
our policy doesn't address those restrictions.
No, I know, but I'm just
Our
saying,
motions
let's do it all the same night, so we're all looking at, on the same
Yeah,
page,
yeah,
so to
understand.
say, you know what I mean? That's what I'd like to see us do. I mean, I'm in favor of doing something,
And,
yeah.
and again, I'm looking to keep it
But-
as simple as possible.
Right.
Understanding, and everybody here should be aware that previous boards did get themselves into some political trouble in
Yep.
relation to the value we put on some of the properties in relation to another one, you know. But that being the case, I don't think anybody's walked away from purchasing a piece of town-owned land unhappy, because it's still generally a bargain. And it enhances their own property. So, the board in its wisdom, and the members sitting at the time, put the price tag on it. The only concerns have been in the past, I guess we'll go back a little bit further, was that maybe some favoritism was shown to certain individuals looking to buy parcels. Other people have also purchased town-owned land, come before the board and stated that they were looking to do it just to preserve their, you know, their privacy of their yard and all the rest, and then turned around and subdivided and built and sold.
That's
And it made
shock.
it made a big score on that,
Why we had
which
that
is
restriction.
very disconcerting.
Right.
But again, the board was sold a bill of goods by
Mhm.
people in the past. So again, we just have to be careful of that too. And that's where the restrictions come in.
So where are we going from here?
So, I think sorting it is a good idea. I think having a conservation and a housing partnership, if you could facilitate getting those two parties together, Greg, to go over the list and really work out, so housing partnership has a clear understanding of some of these parcels, and they may need the assistance of the building inspector. Will clearly understand what can actually be done on some of these parcels. And I think some of the interest from the housing partnership will wane and drop off.
Greg, if you would be so kind as to send me a copy of the spreadsheet.
Will do.
I'll
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But if you could get them, I think that's the biggest starting point, between
Right.
conservation and housing partnership, which is where most of our concern should lie, anyway. Get them to really hone down the list as to where their interest really lies, and then we can start working, and then have conservation and LUC get together. And then you could decide, the board could decide which one will turn over conservation. I
So
think
the
that's
next
the-
meeting, we'll have a sorted list, and we can make a formal request.
Yeah, make a motion.
And then what
Draft
we'll do is,
policy.
again, I'll try and work on some sort of wording, to modify the policy. I'd just like a sense now from the members of the board. I mean, do we wanna keep it general rather than specific, and give the
Very
board as
general.
much latitude as
I'd
possible?
like to
I would.
keep it general. One of the thoughts I have is that, and getting back to Sean's comments, related to if the land is transferred to some homeowner for whatever purpose, it's now taxable. And perhaps as part of evaluating the price, maybe we should put some minimal, percentage on, or some number associated with tax revenue over a 10-year period or something, as a means of trying to keep things in a fairness level.
You want that in a policy?
No, I'm
Or
not
should
sure.
we do that, I think we should just do that as a practice.
Well, I think to have some guidelines or some mechanism of looking at things, it would be helpful.
Yeah, I think the other thing we have to make it, very clear to the public, and anybody who's bidding on town-owned land, you know, if they pay $2,000 for it, that doesn't mean that that's the fair market value of it.
Right.
You know, and maybe we need to run that by council too, so that, you know, we don't get a case before the appellate tax board, you know, when all of a sudden they've added 2,000 square feet of land to their property, it's a small parcel, and all of a sudden their assessed value, land value goes up by $30,000. They're gonna come back and appeal that on the basis that they only paid $2,000 for it. So, we may need some sort of assistance from council, so that, and maybe that would be on the motion when we go to sell it. Their understanding that this is not,
Does not represent fair
does not
market value.
represent, the fair market value of any of the assessed value of the property. I'm just trying to think about what people have said and done in the past.
Well, I think, recalling comments you've made in the past, that you could give the land away would be,
Yeah,
Better off.
I mean,
Yeah.
some of these parcels, people don't wanna buy it. There's one in my neighborhood. There is no good reason for the person in my neighborhood to buy that piece of town-owned land, because it can't be built on, the town has no use for it. I can't think of any town use for it, unless we're gonna get into the beehive business or something, and put beehives on there and try and sell honey to raise money.
Maybe
Even
coming,
words.
maybe coming.
I know, but there's no good,
Let's
there's
hold
no
that
good
one.
reason for these people to buy it.
But they may
because
wanna
they're
own
already
it.
enjoying it for nothing. So
Maybe
therefore,
we'll-
I just as soon offer some of these parcels with a, you know.
Someone like that may wanna own it.
let's see if
and
we
keep it on
can
the-
increase the list of available land by taking off some of the yeses on some of these properties which are just been there forever.
And, I know we're in the middle of the summer months, but what do we want to, try and have Greg facilitate something as far as a meeting between these two initial boards and report back to us?
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
I don't know,
I'll
what
do that.
do you think a reasonable timeframe would be?
30 days, give them the time of year.
Yeah, so by our August meeting, we'll have something. Be perfect.
Okay. All right, any other discussions related to town-owned land at this point? You're gonna send me a copy of the spreadsheets or yes? Next item on our agenda is to discuss dog. Let's see, we have the animal officer here, and take it everyone's sitting here are residents of the area where barking dogs are disturbing the peace. The process when a complaint is issued is that the town administrator asks the animal control officer to investigate and provide a report. And based on that report, the board makes a decision. He also makes a recommendation as to whether or not a show cause hearing should be scheduled. So if the only decision we can make tonight, I believe, is whether or not to schedule a show cause hearing. Is that correct, Mr. Phil?
That's correct. Not officially, no.
Okay, so they're
No,
not
so,
okay.
there's no public hearing this evening. It's strictly a matter of hearing the report of the animal control officer.
But we can take input.
I would only suggest that the board be cautious because the owners of the dogs may not be represented this evening. And I think the board should proceed with caution in terms of allowing others to speak on the issue without giving the owners there to express their point of view also.
That's the question I was gonna ask, is the owner of the dogs
No,
here?
typically that's not, at this stage, we do not
Okay,
invite
so,
any owners.
so they weren't notified.
No, there's a requirement, a notification requirement that we have to go through as a result of this meeting.
Okay.
They'll be informed.
Okay, so, you get a report from the animal control officer.
You do, and you,
I know we have it.
Mr. Berg is present also.
I see that.
Just to back up and give you some background information, the board had received a letter, citizens petition, June 18th, and with a copy of it attached, signed by a number of individuals. Strictly from a procedural standpoint, we forwarded it to Animal Control Officer Berg. We asked for his recommendation for this evening. We also asked him to be present if there were questions that the board might have relating to his report. Would turn it back to the board